I'm sure we all know by now, MxBikes is pretty hard, ranging from the bad luck off starts to, as Ryder likes to call it, piboso physics.
Fuck, I'm ghosting, man!
Now, all these bad habits I'm about to show you, I've personally made in the past with my 3,500 hours. But now, without further ado, let's get into the video. The first thing to help mainly for consistency in MxBikes is to stop using your brakes too much, or at least as aggressively. And that I find that this prevents me from front tucking as much, or getting slow physics, or just preventing the game physics from, well, attacking you. Now, this may sound counterintuitive to some, as you're not going to be able to push as much into corners or as fast, but the main thing that will help you win races in MxBikes is a steady mix between speed and consistency. So that's why you see how like heroes. Now, I know it feels good to go fast, but sometimes going through Erode or going down the hills, the bike reacts better when left untouched. Now remember, the lower RPMs your bike's in, the better the suspension works. And this transfers directly into MxBikes, so keep this in mind when in races or sometimes even hot laps. Like here, when going down the hill on 2022 MXGP of Trentino, charging down it and using my back brake may get me a faster lap in qualifying or a one-time lucky run, but when Erode hits, it's better to stay in third gear, use your engine brake off the gas, and use your momentum to get through the Erode until you get through the corner. This can also be displayed on 2022 Millville, as there's massive hills, and when even touching your brakes just a tad bit too aggressively, you're going to the bars and tumbling down the hill. Now obviously these tracks are extreme examples, whereas the terrain has extremely steep hills, and you need to be on point with your braking, but this habit of braking less aggressively or not at all can be transferred to all tracks. Number 2 on the list of bad habits is going to be not using your rider lean to its full potential. Also, side note, don't bind your rider lean and your left foot at the same stick. This is a thing a lot of people don't use to its full ability, and you see a lot in good players. When you watch a hot lap video or spectating someone fast, it may be hard to pick up on, but they are using it. Now, what I mean by this is here's an example on WWE Ranch. You can scrub much harder using both of your sticks instead of just leaning over and using your left-right. And using your other stick also transfers into corner speed. You can lean forward and back in corners, or stand while using rider lean, especially when it gets rough in outdoor corners. Now, number 3 on the list is going to be riding too smooth of tracks. Yes, you heard me, I want you to ride rougher tracks. Now, the reason this is a bad habit is because when you actually get into a race series or an eroded track, you're going to find you don't know how to counter some of the game's slow physics attacks. You can easily do this by joining public server daddies or going to testing and turning your Erode up and riding that to get better practice. Also, with the JV outdoor tracks coming up week by week, try to ride the race versions of the tracks instead of the practice/quality versions so you don't get used to the easiness of no ruts or Erode. Now, number 4 on the list of bad habits is going to be not being more patient when in race scenarios. Now, look at this start from the Indianapolis 250 main, for example. If he would have slowed down, checked up, and cut under me and him would have had a great start. But as you can see, after he killed everyone, there was a massive gap formed under the pack of riders, which would have been the perfect opportunity to get in front of the pack and get a good start. But instead, I was bent. Now, obviously this is just one example, as this bad habit can be applied almost everywhere, as it's better to follow someone and put pressure on them in long form motos until they crash, instead of trying to rush and make a move and potentially crashing. You know, watching that back, I just realized I might need to take my own advice more because...
Neon, hit the gas! What is he doing? He's so slow!
Want it to be.
Oh, Neon is such a biohazard. Oh, I can't with Neon. I can't with Neon.
Now, number 5 on the list, least, but definitely not last. Wait, no, fuck. Last, but definitely not least, is going to be riding too stiff. Now, this is why you can run a faster lap consistently in testing or public lobby, because you're not stiff and you're not taking it as serious. When riding stiff in races, you tend to tense up, ride slower, and not as agile. An example of this is here on the Detroit 250 main, where I'm only in a public lobby about 0.5 to 0.7 a lap slower consistently than my teammate. But the difference is when I start riding stiff and going slower than normal and run a pace that's about 1.5 seconds off my normal pace, and he runs his normal pace, leads to me getting gapped by about 15 seconds with 0 crashes. Unlucky. Also, this little bonus is mainly meant for new players, but that's just you guys sticking to stock tracks. Now, these tracks can really help you improve if you're looking to just have fun. They're amazing, but you can't expect supercross tracks and the nationals to ride like them. So maybe experiment, go to mxbmods.com and look at what they offer. Lots of tracks come out there daily and are completely free, and offer just as much fun and a little more challenging than Club, for example. But that's gonna wrap up my video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe to show me that you like this form of content, as this video took over 9 hours of editing, or maybe I'm just a really slow editor.